Welcome back to another episode of The Sweet House. This is the final episode of 2023, and today I brought in my husband, Mr. Sweet, to wrap up this season 2 of The Sweet House, episode 20 of 2023. In March, when we started this journey, you could not have told me that I would be 20 episodes in. So I'm not going to cry because I'm really proud of myself. This season has taught me a lot about myself. I think podcasting was a new avenue for me, and just jumping into this has been a journey of learning. I have recorded podcasts where I didn't feel good. I didn't feel prepared. I came in here one time with food poisoning and still interviewed the guest and got through it, and you guys probably didn't even know. I have been able to connect with people on a way deeper level, whether it was you guys as audience members or it was people who were sitting in this chair. Having people come into the Sweet House has just been an inspiring thing for me. This season, we've had everyone from the Titans GM to Brooke and Bryce, who are by trade in orthodontics and also pharmaceutical sales, but then they also have a construction company, and they just shared this story of grit and grind. And then I talked to Coach Tarver from Fisk University, who is training up the next generation of award-winning gymnasts at Fisk. And so it's just been really cool to have these people come share their pits and their peaks and all of their victorious moments too. And I said I wasn't going to cry, but I'm extremely grateful for all of the hard work of the production team. Cast Collective here in Nashville has been absolutely amazing. If it were not for Erin and me calling her that week that I got laid off from iHeart and saying it's time, and her saying, yeah, it's time, and just like walking me through this step by step, like, here's what we're going to do. Let me figure out what you like as far as lighting goes, as far as coloring, as far as sound goes. Let's figure out what your set looks like. Just all of those little components that Erin and her team at Cast Collective were so willing to do for me really set the tone of this season. I looked back at, I've said this a couple times on other episodes, but I have filmed The Sweet House 2 times before this, and I looked back at some of the footage of the other times that I filmed it last week, and I was like, man, this is an episode of thank God I didn't put it out then and I put it out now with the right team. So thank you, Cast Collective. Thank you for being the foundation of this show that is literally going out to hundreds, if not thousands of people. Bishop Walker came on and really blessed the show.
Blessed it.
And he blessed a lot of people. Mm-hmm. The shares on all of his posts, astronomical. So I just think that this platform is only just beginning, and I'm just like excited to see where I'm going to take this next year. I think this whole year has just been my surprise season, and I mean, I got laid off, and then I was like, I'm still going to do this. And I also want to tell you guys, I know I'm monologuing because this is the beginning, but I also want to tell you guys that when I got laid off from iHeart, that was in February, but then Peloton called me and I took up managing their international app marketing. So for the past 6 months, I have been working on an international marketing project on top of running my business as an influencer, on top of this whole new venture of the Sweet House podcast, and being bringing on, and being a mom, and also being a wife. And so I am ultimately so proud of myself too, and I that's something that I've learned about myself in talking to all of the guests, is that I also don't give myself flowers. I talk about giving everybody who comes and sits in this chair all their flowers, but I don't give myself enough flowers, and I'm really hard on myself. But this season has taught me that it is okay to stutter. It's okay to lose train of thought when you're talking to somebody. It's okay to not have it all planned out. Sometimes I've come to interviews with a full list of questions, and then I just didn't go through any of the questions. And I think this season has just taught me to relax as somebody who is like a trained broadcast journalist. It's taught me to just have a conversation and also be fine with like everything that's happening. So that has been my season. And Mr. Sweet is here to help me wrap it up, because next season, the bloom is booming.
The bloom is booming.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
listen,
welcome to the show.
I've had a front row seat to it.
Yeah.
And it has been amazing. It really has been.
Yeah. I got to tell you.
What's up?
I told Jarrell that I was filming this episode this morning when I was working out. And he was like, who's your guest today? I was like, Alex. He was like, that's not fair. he said he gets a two-peat. I said, yes, he gets a two-peat because like I said on season 1 when Mr. Sweet was on, Mr. Sweet is kind of the reason for this season. Having you in my corner has definitely been also very inspirational for me when I have those moments where I'm like, I just don't know what I'm doing out here or why, because sometimes social media makes you feel like what you're putting out isn't what the world wants to see because algorithms are hiding it or it's competing amidst a bunch of other stuff that like doesn't necessarily align with what you're putting out. So yeah, I just have to say thank you too and give you your flowers for coming for the second go round.
Well, I'll take them. Take them. I was talking to my partner earlier. He was asking me, what's on the agenda for the rest of the day. And I told him I was sitting down talking to you. And I told him really, like, I feel like the reason why I do appreciate coming on your show and sitting down and talking to you is because I want this episode to be about you. You know what I mean? Like you've had fabulous guests all year.
Yeah.
Right. And it was always about whoever was sitting in this chair. And like, this gives you an opportunity for me just to put it right back on you. Cause this is about you. This is right. Like this show, just like the first episode we did, it was about you and you telling your story and what you're going through. So I think the people that are watching and listening, they deserve to hear from you too, like having somebody ask you some questions and just figure out really like behind the scenes.
It can be hard to actually share more about myself because I'm so like invested in the guests, like Brooke and Bryce. And even Jarrell was saying this the other day at the gym. He was like, we don't get like a certain side of you on your social media or even with the podcast. I was like, because I'm interviewing y'all, you are more than welcome to ask me a question. And when I had Brian Berry of Nashville Lifestyles on, he did say, well, let me flip this and let me ask you a question about influencer stuff. So, but I think, again, the podcast has taught me how to be more comfortable and conversational in front of the camera because I'm good with like, I can talk to a wall. I will sit outside and talk to some squirrels and the ladybugs or rain or whoever. That's just who I am in general. But I think that like the podcast has taught me to just chill and just have conversations with people in front of the camera with sometimes, and we all have a tendency to do it. I don't care who you are. And if you get in front of a camera, everyone gets like tense. Just a little bit. Yeah. It's like everything, let me button up. And it's like, for me, I'm now like, I am not nervous and I've had some really great guests on and I'm like, I really want to dive into their stories and also make sure that they're feeling comfortable enough to share their stories with me. And so I think it's been an interesting dynamic because it's not always about me and they don't ask questions of me because I think they're more so in their heads about how they're going to respond to the questions that I have for them.
Well, I mean, it makes for a good show, though. Yeah. And I mean, your primary responsibility is obviously to put on a great show. And in order to do that, you have to make your guests comfortable. And, first and foremost, you have to be comfortable. Yeah. If you're not comfortable, no one's going to be comfortable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the behind the scenes thing I think a lot of people don't see when you're podcasting or when you're interviewing anybody is that sometimes people are just experiencing all kinds of things when they get in front of the lights and the cameras. Yeah. And everybody has to settle in. Like even Bishop Walker, he said, I get nervous before stuff. And he speaks to all kinds of people on Sunday morning, but he said he still gets nervous. Now, once we get going, it's like, okay, the ride is flowing. So, but yeah, I think these are the things that people don't see. And nobody says that when they're interviewing people. So
you just mentioned before, most of your guests that have come on and they've had great careers. I mean, all the stories that I've heard have been amazing, and they do talk about, they're comfortable enough to talk about the pits sometimes, like, like the valleys as well as the peaks. And I'm sure I know, cause I'm there. what has been in the past year, like not like between season 1 and season 2, talk about some of those valleys and how you got yourself out of those valleys.
Ooh, I feel
there's been some times.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely a lot of valleys because I don't agree with the statement that social media is just your highlight reel, even though contrary to popular belief, a lot of people say that.
A lot of people treat it like that though.
A lot of people do treat it like that, but you know me and I don't treat it like that. Like if it's like what I post is what's actually happening in my real life, but I'm also not somebody who's going to sit on my social media and cry. Like I'm going to call you and cry. Like I'm going to call Erin and tell her, I just don't, I'm suffering from food poisoning. Like I didn't sit here when I was interviewing Rand and say, hey, y'all, I'm suffering from food poisoning, but I'm interviewing him today, y'all. Like, no, that wasn't part. It would have taken away from the story that he and I were trying to tell if I'm like, there's a time and a place to share your pits and peaks and so, or your valleys. But yeah, I've had a lot of valleys. First of all, as wild or as comfortable as I was getting laid off, it was still a valley. And it is still a valley because I'm still exploring what this whole charade looks like. And I laugh because it's funny. Like I've been spending a lot of time on LinkedIn over the past year. And one of the posts that I read today was hilarious because this guy, he got laid off in March too. And he said, layoff part number 5.
Okay.
So he's been journaling his layoff experience.
Okay.
So he said, I'm literally caught up in the system apparently because I'm overqualified and I can't even make it past the HR screening.
Lord have mercy.
So he goes,
that's so funny. That's like a whole nother topic.
It's hilarious.
Okay, yeah.
But you know that I have said, so in reference to me going through this whole employment system, and I call it an ecosystem because it's like a lot of us have been put out on the street and then we're cycling and trying to figure out like what else is happening next. Yeah. And for me, when I got put out on the street, I was like, well, that's fine because my scooter is right on outside on Music Row and I'm about to get on it and me and Erin and the Cast Collective team are about to make this charade rock. And we're going to invite everybody on this ride with us over the next 20 episodes. And so my pits are always combated with some sort of movement forward. So I don't dwell in my pits. I'm like, okay, you said no, that's fine. Something else is for me. I have had brand deals fall through this year. I mean, and it's been an interesting year for influencer collaborations because I have signed contracts and committed to brand deals. And then they come back and they say like, well, we're no longer going to do this particular project. And so those are pits for me. But, you know, I always call you and I'm like, well, this one fell through, but then 2 weeks later, like something else came up. Or maybe I was negotiating a deal and gave my rates and like they ended up ghosting me. It's like those are also pits. And so, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, I know that something else is going to come along that's going to shock me. And then that's going to be a great experience. I mean, right before the P&G deal, P&G was probably my best and most fun collaboration of the summer. And I had
some great people.
I had a collaboration fall through. And then the next week, P&G called and they're like, we want to fly you out. And as they say, I got flued out. And then
flown out.
Flown out.
Is it flown out?
Flown out.
Okay.
But it's funny. One of the girls on the trip with me, she asked if she could say flued out. And P&G said no. So ever since then, I've been making fun of her because Miriam, which I know if you're watching this, Miriam, I'm talking about you. She's the one whose video you shared the other day.
Yeah, hilarious.
So
she's funny.
Miriam goes, she said, I'd like to say that P&G flued me out, y'all, and they won't let me say it in my content. So I was like, Miriam, first of all, because it's flown, I get where you're coming from. So
the culture says flued.
Yeah, flued out. But anyway, so I ended up going on this Procter & Gamble collaboration collaboration, and it was by far the best one that I've ever done. I met the most authentic group of 6 influencers from Canada, New York, Florida, Houston, and they were just so genuine. And we have a text message group to this day, and I consider them like friends. 2 of Miriam and Deneen texted me the other day. I cannot talk. Miriam and Dee texted me the other day, and they said they wanted to come to Nashville to visit us, and I was like, okay. But right. Yeah, so even that pit landed me in an area of gratitude for new friendship and also colleagues in the influencer space, because that's the thing, like influencer life is also very isolating, and there's not a lot of opportunities for you to communicate with authentic people who understand the pits and the peaks of the business. And so it was just really cool to even connect with them. I took on the International App Marketing Project. There were lots of pits and peaks with that. Yeah. I mean, everything down to organization of the project. At close to the end of the project, I was told that I had to go to New York in order to, continue.
The role.
And my thing is, well, I'm not moving my family from Nashville to New York.
I ain't going to New York.
Yeah, we're not going to New York.
I'm not.
So that's also, and these are huge things, but honestly, I'm glad you asked me that question, because I honestly have not even had the time to sit and contemplate on them. Like I said, the layoff, I was like, okay, cool.
What's next?
I got bills to pay. They gave me 3 weeks worth of severance. I don't have time for this. I have bills and a family. We have a daughter to raise. Like, let's go. What's next? Hey, Aaron, what time are we recording this podcast? Because this is what I'm trying to do. Then I'm like, okay, so I get the Peloton contract. At the same time that I'm working a full-time contract, I'm also working a full-time job as an influencer and running that business. And then we also are managing this Airbnb and making business decisions with that. And then I'm still a mom at the same time. And then I'm still negotiating brand deals. And then I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to fly to Cincinnati and do this for 5 days on top of my Peloton schedule or what have you. So there's pits and peaks to it. And then I wrap it up and I say, I'm not going to New York.
Right.
So September 30th ends that journey. And then October 1, I am now full-time entrepreneurship again, and navigating that space. So
a lot happened too. I mean,
a lot happened. I'm just giving the very high level, like 10% of it.
That I will say too, watching you, the decision, even just to talk about the Peloton contract. I mean, I feel like that decision for you, it really wasn't a hard decision to make. It wasn't a hard decision to make. I feel like some people, or if people that are out there watching, it can be a hard decision if you are solely relying on one income, or just relying on somebody else. One outcome, and you don't have like another plan. Not saying that, I mean, hey, look, at the end of the day, entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. And like, we have conversations about that all the time.
My thing is, I was vested into what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm vested.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. Well, I do want to almost give you your flowers for that as well, because someone else would have made the decision maybe to even make their flight to New York, or just really got right back into the grind of trying to replace that with something else.
This is the pit of what it was. I was doing international app marketing in Australia, Austria, Germany, and the UK. But I was told that I needed to move to New York to continue doing so. But I've been doing international app marketing from Nashville, Tennessee, and it is successful in a huge component of the business. So how do we get here?
Which, I mean, we've had conversations about
exactly, but I want the audience to know this, because, like, again, you're bringing up the fact that like somebody else would have taken this position, and it's like, at what point do we decide to stand our ground and also like get vested in what we have going on versus getting on somebody else's time and their getting on their plan for your life.
Well, you got to have something going on first. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the main thing. If you don't have anything else going on,
Yeah.
and your job is your life almost.
And I'll just give that background for reference. At the same time that all this is going on, I'm turning 34. I am, Rain is in a great school, and we're wrapping up I'm filming the Sweet House podcast at the time. I mean, we still have our Airbnb business going. Like, there's kind
word
of
on the street that, October 1, we had another bill that was coming that we had to do something about.
October 1, student loans are kicking back in. Yeah. And then people are still getting laid off every day. There's still a lot going on in the economy. So there's still like a lot of life decisions around all of this that are still on the whiteboard, and I have to connect the dots. And I'm like, it didn't take me 5 seconds to connect those dots, because when I got that phone call, I said, absolutely not.
Nope.
Absolutely not. No. There's no way.
It was important too, because I feel like this is something that somebody needs to hear on understanding the value of your, what's the word I'm looking for? Community, or the importance of you being here in Nashville. We had so much vested, not only just we just had so much vested in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Airbnb, with our network, with people that we knew, business partners, friends, like Rain's school. Like, it was just a lot that's a hard decision to make. Like, all right, basically you're telling me to start over from scratch in a city that I'm not familiar with at all.
And for companies to even ask somebody to do that, it's a reach for me, especially for said position to be doing international business. It's a reach for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for companies to even ask that, and I know a lot of them are asking that. And honestly, I'm curious to see, from a business perspective, I'm curious to see, so how much are y'all offering people to move to these cities? Like, what's the relocation package looking like? Which I also want the younger people who are watching this and just getting into their careers to ask for the relocation package.
Ask for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if I was 21, I probably would have been like, oh, cool. Like, that's maybe something that the people who are new to you and I don't know. Like, when I was in my last year of college, I was like, okay, I got this internship in DC. I'm going,
right.
And I was 20 years old then, but I think I'm 34 now. I have worked and built something sustainable and sustainable from the aspect of family and business, to the point where it just makes absolutely no sense.
Didn't make sense.
And I've talked to a lot of people lately, and even everybody that's been on the Sweet House, at some point they had to make a decision. Brian Berry of Nashville Lifestyles last weekend, he said that he was 10 years into doing some publishing work for some print companies. And then he decided to take a little break, and he was like, I just had to get steel. And he was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Get steel.
Get steel. He's like, I don't know what I wanted to do, but just listening to even him. And then he was like, and then I got the call. Nashville Lifestyles magazine asked me to come back and run the business as a publisher. And so I think it's like the call is what you have to wait for, and you have to be prepared for it when they do call.
It's interesting you said that, because I'm reading Stephen A. Smith's book, and he had a similar situation when he was let go from ESPN. He started ESPN, making a lot of money, a decent amount of money, and he got laid off. He got let go, and he had to get steel too, because luckily for him, he had a great mentor. He's a great reader if y'all want to finish it. But he said there was a time period where I had to get steel. I had to sit back. I had to do a reflection of myself. That's what he said. I had to figure out what it is I wanted to do. And the rest is history. ESPN called him back. And now he is a staple of ESPN. I mean, he is almost Mr. ESPN at this point.
And
but that was a time period that he went through as well.
But I also feel like stillness comes when you know that you have done all that you can do.
That's true.
Like, I am more than qualified, and nothing in me says that I'm not qualified. I mean, opportunities have come to my doorstep that have shown that I am overqualified, because I've been able to exceed the expectations of the job that was placed in front of me.
That phrase is so funny to me.
I'm just like, what?
Being overqualified, because I got friends that are, in right now looking for work as well. And I know you've been in this particular situation as well. And when companies say that to you, It's like, oh, well, you're just overqualified. Well, why you call me for then?
Well,
like, you saw my resume. Like, why we even sitting here for then? Like, why we here if you knew I was overqualified?
Right. And my thing is, like,
I need a job. So, like, that's what I'm sitting here for. I need to work. So, okay, yes, I'm overqualified. Whatever.
What's next? What you got that I'm qualified
what you got
for?
what I'm qualified for?
How about that?
Like, dang, I know I'm overqualified, but I'm still sitting here. I need this job. Like, right. I know I'm overqualified.
Hell, if I'm overqualified, wouldn't you want somebody who's overqualified?
Give me this check, please.
Right.
Let me help you out.
Let's get on with it. Like, trust me, I'm not vested in this. Like, I'm just trying to get this money so I can pay these bills and get on about my business. Like,
oh, you're overqualified.
And my thing is, like, the one chick that I did the interview for, which I had to tell you guys this story.
One chick, listen to you. Go ahead.
This is crazy as AF too. So I am doing this interview, and first of all, she sends me a case study for this interview the night before. In this interview, it fell in my lap. It's not something I went looking for. So let me first of all preference.
They came to you.
They came to me. So she sends me a case study the night before. Me being type A personality, marks up the case study and sorts it out like the project manager that I am, and gives my marketing expertise. ... This is what we can do for each of these scenarios, and I'm ready to present for this interview. I get on the interview, and she literally rolled out of bed, hopped on the interview, says she has no idea where the case study is. I say, ma'am, don't worry. I got it right here. At the end of the day, a couple weeks later, she sets up a phone call with me to tell me that they decided to go with someone who was more qualified. Ma'am, you rolled out of bed to do this interview.
What?
Like, and not that I was, again, I'm not upset. Here's the thing, like, I'm not upset. I'm like, I was overqualified in every sense of God's purpose for my life, that he was not about to let me sit in this predicament and then not be able to pour into the other things that I am vested into. That is where your stillness comes from. That's where my stillness and my solace and my peace come from when it comes to doing all the things that I want to do, even if I'm not getting like paid for them and I'm not seeing it all come into fruition right away. I rest in that. So these scenarios keep me in a place where I'm like, whew, okay, what's next?
What's next?
What's next? And that's why my peaks and my valleys do this all the time. And
corporate companies, y'all gotta stop saying that though.
Yeah.
Just don't call me.
Look, I was talking to Kayla about that. Kayla's my sister, for those who don't know. I was talking to her about that this morning. I was like, honestly, recruitment is like the worst. Like, they're like certified secretaries. Jeez. They call you, don't know nothing about the position.
Nope, not a thing.
Like, nothing about the position. And then this is another thing that people don't know about me too. Like, I have worked in tech and have done the nitty gritty of tech, from the building of the campaigns in the app, the HTML code and all of that. So trying to explain what I do to just everyday average Joe is very hard. But then when I get on an interview and their title is global marketing director, but this is a woman who rolled out of the bed now. Her title is global marketing director, but I'm trying to explain to you what exactly I am capable of doing, trying to convey these skill sets to you. And you're like, what? Huh? Like, but you found somebody more qualified. Ma'am, you don't understand what I am capable of doing. You don't even understand my tech skills. Yeah. So it's just interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I feel like too, just this Zoom world.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know we had a story earlier, somebody that we knew that had a Zoom interview and
they left the cameras
interviewer
off.
Wasn't even on camera. Like, okay, is this what we doing now? Like, what's going on here? But
there's no personification of it.
None. It's fine.
But it's fine. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. It's the new age of corporate. I somewhat have a little bit of respect for the old heads, because at least they would call you in the office and have a meeting with you face to face.
They had to get up that morning and put on their pants.
And they had to have some context of what was going on. And I don't know if the world's just moving too fast or what, but I'm like, these old heads had to have some context of business. Like, your dad's been a manager for 40 years. He is not walking into a meeting saying, I can't find my case study. What? No. Right. He's literally going to walk into that meeting with all his stuff figured out, and he going to be like, now, son. Mr. Sweet, the original Mr. Sweet, is the sweetest man you will ever meet. And he literally, I don't even know how he's a manager because he's just sweet. Like, I would love to see him lay somebody off.
Look, he ain't got no problem laying nobody off now. I know that.
I would love to see it. Okay. I feel like he would be like, now I told you, you need to come in to work on time. And on time means 10 minutes ahead of time.
See, here you go.
He's just too sweet.
He is. But it's interesting, though. I do like, though, I want to kind of change my terminology, too, because, you know, from valleys to the pits. But it is kind of like a valley. And normally, you know, there's some good things in a valley.
Yeah.
Vegetation, rivers, life. And there's things that you need to sustain yourself in valleys sometimes. You can go down to a valley and find something that you didn't know that you need. And by the time you get to the peak or wherever you're trying to go, you say, oh, no, I got this in my toolbox now. You know, so I just want to throw that out there because I liked how you put that.
I have a lot of tools in my toolbox.
You do.
I'm like, all these talents that I've been able to cultivate. I have a lot of things in my toolbox.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I want to move on, honestly, because there was one thing that we did discuss that was, I mean, a major accomplishment of ours. And going back to October 1, when, you know, we all had to start back paying those student loans.
Yeah.
And me and you made a decision in we made a decision before 2020. We made a decision
like 2017 when we got married. Yeah.
That we need to figure out a better strategy.
Yeah.
On these student loans instead of making these
I think we adopted the mentality that everybody else had because it was young and it sounded good. And the mentality was like, oh, I'm going to be paying these until I die.
Yeah.
But it was just like,
or I'm not going to pay them at all. It was either extreme.
Right. And so
it was either extreme.
We had we have these like family meetings, business meetings where we're like talking about how much money is in this savings account and that savings account or whatever. So we're sitting down and we're going through this spreadsheet and we're looking at this interest rate because we were paying the minimums and we were looking at the interest rates and we're like, we're literally throwing money into thin air.
Just giving money away.
Literally. Because the interest rates are literally stacking even by the pennies. And it's just we're not getting anywhere like this. So it's either you get stuck paying those minimums or you figure out another way.
Yeah. And we figured out another way. And that way was quite simple. Stack cash and get it done quick.
Yeah. Stack cash and get it done quick. But I also will say that like we had some other debts. Like we had credit card debt.
We did.
And we made this spreadsheet of all of our debts. And exact numbers, like I recommend you guys doing this. Exact numbers, like get you a spreadsheet. If it's 10,192.82 cents, like you need to put it down to the exact numbers. Then we had the spreadsheet, which we still have this spreadsheet of all the bills, like the active stuff that you have to pay. And then we looked at all this and we're like, okay, how can we chomp away at this? And this is where you and I both come in because this is when I first started to really make money with influencer stuff. And I was like, I had like steady partnerships. Like I had the ongoing partnership where I was getting paid every month with the hair company or whatever. And so it was like, whatever way we could get extra money, we were getting extra money. So tell the folks what you were doing during this time.
Picking up trash.
Yeah. He was a trash man.
I was picking up garbage.
Yes.
But it was, you know, we had, there ain't no bus. I was picking up trash. And like it was.
He was picking up trash and I was getting up at 5 a.m. to drive to Murfreesboro and meet Rachel, who is now the city's photographer. But Rachel started with me, and Rachel and I would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would drive to Murfreesboro, get this content, submit content, started getting more paid brand deals while I was still working full time at Meharry. He's picking up trash and working
at night.
At
still
night. Working
at so I was at T-Rock at that time. So that was like, you know, that was my morning afternoon job, but then at night I would, you know, stay out and pick up trash. And like it was, but like we had a goal. I mean, like we knew what we were trying to get to. I can't really stress. I even tell my friends that to this day, especially, you know, any young couples out there, you know, they say that the one biggest fight that couples have is always normally a finance type of a fight. And luckily, you know, there ain't no secret. I'm not shy about what I got. Like what she said when we first started doing our spreadsheet, it was, all right, what all debt do you have?
Yeah.
Like get out every credit card out, every single one, every whatever it is, car notes, whatever, and let's figure this thing out together. Yeah. If you can't get that transparent, you won't be able to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve.
No, and
it's
anybody
impossible.
who's like vested in a relationship and is interested in marrying that person, it is so necessary for you to get very transparent. Which on this last season of Love Is Blind, like that came up, and it was like the credit score thing was an issue. Yeah. And it's like if you're willing to hide something so simple as like you got a credit card that's charged up or whatever, like you're probably going to have some problems on down the road because finances are a huge part of it, because even the ways that we were raised, like I'm the youngest of 5, you're the oldest of 3. Like the way that your parents manage finances for you versus like your little brother looks completely different, versus for my older siblings versus me looks completely different. Yeah. And then you two people get together and are trying to manage their finances, and you're trying to figure out what this looks like, because the one thing we do know is that both of us had the same spending habits because we went to marriage counseling. And when we did premarital counseling, you take that quiz, remember? And like, remember the quiz? Yeah. And Robin were like, okay, you're both spenders. So we were aware that we were both spenders.
Was I a spender?
Yeah, you're a spender. Sir, please stop. I can't. Y'all, this man comes from a spending woman, Mrs. Sweet, the original Mrs. Sweet. But
do I spend though
yes,
like that?
Honey, you got Mrs. Sweet's qualities. Don't play.
Who spends more, me or you?
I mean, me now, because I buy everything for Rain.
Okay, let's go.
I just bought Rain a new Coach bag last night, and she's 1.5. But I don't care. She's living her best life.
I gotta go back and look at that test because I don't think I was high on the spending list.
No, sir, you were high on the spending list. You were. And he's very fancy. He buys YSL boots. And I'm like, I will never. I just don't know.
No, that's not true. See, I buy quality.
Okay.
Things that will last.
Quality. Okay.
Yeah, last.
Well, my dress came from Amazon, in case any of you guys were wondering. It was like $20.
And she's not going to wear more than 2 years?
I'm going to let Aaron borrow it.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, you can buy quality things, but you know that you're going to buy it and you're going to keep it for years. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, I digress. That's funny. But yes, no, you are right.
I am glad that you're a spender, though, because he did buy me this nice, beautiful diamond for my birthday.
Quality.
Yes.
Quality.
And I would have never bought this for myself.
Well, no. Yeah, of course not.
I would have never bought this for myself.
I think that would be weird for a woman to buy a ring like that. I'm just gonna buy this for me.
No, but I'm just saying, like, even like I never was like one of the girls that's like, this diamonds and purses, it constitutes my soft life.
That is true, because as a matter of fact, even like your first designer bag, I had to encourage you to get it. I was like, yo, you deserve this.
Like, I was like, I'm so good at Target.
Yeah, like, you were. But I was like, you deserve this. And it wasn't like we didn't have it. Like, all right, look, you've been busting your butt. We got this. It ain't like we about to.
But I don't think that constitutes the soft life. Contrary to popular belief, I do not think that bags and diamonds constitute the soft life. Like we were actually having this discussion at the gym too. Wait.
Soft life. Define soft life for those. I
don't think that men really get into this narrative, but the narrative on the internet is that women deserve the soft life. You deserve.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The soft life of luxury.
You're right.
And my thing is like, yeah, you do deserve the soft life of luxury, but I'd rather have my peace any day. And I feel like you and I both bring peace.
Yes. Peace is important.
Yes.
Peace is
anything that disrupts our peace, it's got to go.
Gotta go.
Like people, things, whatever. Like, and we've always been like that for 13 years. It's like,
job.
Yes, a job. If you coming home miserable, we need to check it at the door. Like, no, that's not going to work.
When I was I mean, that heck, both of my transitions. Yeah. My most recent transition, I've had a couple of jobs, but both came from, it was a peace thing. It's okay. Like this job is affecting
and
me.
I had some real, we had some real conversations. And I'm like, sir, like you are capable.
Yeah.
Like you are more than enough.
That's true.
You got. I encourage you to get your project management certification. I'm like, but you're capable. That's like true. You have no idea like what you can do and what you can do, what we can do.
Yeah.
So that's my idea of the soft life. I'm just like.
But back to it though. We Back to student loans.
Yes, back to the student loans though. Like it was part of our master plan to get rid of these student loans.
Right.
And so
it started with, like I said, the small debts first.
Yes, the small debts, get rid of those. But there was not like a aggressive, like we about to be putting money away in plastic bags and like that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, we still lived. And then also something to really note is that money comes and money goes. And sometimes your bank accounts are going to be higher than others. We bought a house in 2018 and we spent a lump sum of money putting a down payment on the house. So then our account dipped a little bit and then we still had some credit cards. And then like a year later, we finally got, I think 2019, we were like done with the credit cards.
All those,
yes. And all we had was the student loans left. And then the pandemic came around and that was very helpful.
It was. And I've had conversations now with more people that kind of view the pandemic similarly how we viewed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely
an opportunity to me to level up.
But it was an opportunity to level up.
Yeah.
That was a time that we sat still.
Yeah.
And we really came up with, all right, this is what we are going to do.
A strategy for it.
And we can do it. You know? Yeah. It definitely kind of springboarded. But how do you feel? How do you feel now that the student loans are gone?
Honestly, the whole time we were stacking cash, I never looked at it like it was our money. I looked at it like I had already given it up. So I didn't have an attachment to the money. And so the months and the weeks and the months that went into putting all that money into the pot of gold, I just was like, this pot of gold is on the other side of the rainbow. And when it's time to give it up, if we have to give it up, it is what it is. Because truth be told, we were hoping that Biden would be able to push through for us. But hey, it is what it is. So when we finally did pay the money, push the button on the computer, I felt good. Honestly. Yeah, I felt good. I was like, it's gone. It's out of my account. Like I can now start a replenishment plan for how we want our other accounts to go, like Reigns 529 and like my business SEP IRA and just our emergency savings account and just all these things. Like we had a meeting with our financial advisor and just all the things that we can now get into because we're not really banking on that money anymore.
Right.
It's like, true. Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said that it was easy.
Yeah.
But.
Well, it's not easy to give up that kind of money.
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah. Should we say
it was 6 figures. I don't think any know the exact amount, but it was, I mean, that's the most money cash that I think either one of us has spent at one time.
Well, for one, that we had ever saved.
Well, yeah, that part.
Yeah,
I mean, just having that amount.
Yeah,
was
having
amazing.
that kind of money in the bank was like really crazy. But I don't think I've had time to process it because we've been working so hard for like
to get
years.
Back to it.
Yeah, like I don't think we sat down to really process the fact that we saved that kind of money, but we were capable of saving
and over and beyond,
money.
which was a blessing. I feel like that was another thing that made it wasn't that tough of a pill to swallow because it wasn't like it depleted us.
Yeah, and too, I think it taught us, like we paid for our own wedding and that was $35,000 cash that we paid for. It started
right there.
Yeah.
Our mindset started right there.
Yeah, it did. When you had to pay for your own stuff and you still got to figure out how to live, like you going to figure it out real fast. So that was 26 and 27 years old. And here we are almost a decade later and we've just paid off these student loans. And I'm just like, for us, saving that kind of money took strategy and discipline. But I think when we did it when we were 26 and 27, we knew we were capable of doing it again one day when we had to do it.
That's true.
So now when I had to give it up, I was like, okay, cool. Because I've seen the kind of money that we are capable of saving and being able to disseminate it however we need to do it, whether that's, like I said, in Reigns 529 or what have you. So I'm not worried about it. I mean, both of us have life insurance. So get your life insurance. You can go on ladder.com and fill out the form. It takes 5 minutes and you can get you some life insurance. Both of us have beneficiaries on accounts, all these kinds of, you need to make sure you got your beneficiaries on your bank accounts, all of this kind of knowledge. This is quickly turned into a finance podcast, but
it's important stuff though.
But these are things too that our parents didn't talk to us about. And so we started talking to each other about it and figuring out how to best navigate it. So it really wasn't that hard for me because I don't have an attachment to money. Yeah. Like I said, it comes and it goes.
That's true.
And I also don't view it as like my soft life. It's not, I mean, hey, if push come to shove and we got to move back to Prince Avenue, like I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Or push come to shove and I had to go back to Memphis because it's a more affordable city. Like,
or get on the pole.
Nah, I ain't getting on no pole for nobody but you. But
you used to say that now.
I do say that a lot.
You used to say that.
I say that a lot. I actually said that.
I know you do. I know you say it all the time.
Look, if push comes to shove, y'all might find me on the pole. But the only pole I'm getting on, though, let's be clear, is the one in Chucalissa? Chucalissa, Mississippi.
Yeah.
On P Valley. I'm getting on that pole.
Chucalissa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I will say, okay, so I got to ask you this question, and it's a good convo. How do you feel about education? I feel like we've had this conversation before, but now that the loans are paid for, was it worth it?
Yeah, it was absolutely worth it. I didn't have any loans from undergrad, and I always say that so proudly because I finished and got my degree from University of Memphis, and I got my MRS degree at the same time. A few years after the fact, but I met you then. And so I feel like it was worth it because I have two perspectives. I got to see what it looked like when you go as a scholar, and then I got to see what it looked like when you go as somebody who is ambitious and looking for a way to level up in their career. And then once I got the second degree, the MBA, and then I saw like the opportunities that I could get with this MBA. Even now, I think that's another reason why I'm not too pressed about like career stuff. Because if push comes to shove, I got to go back to corporate America. Hey, I'm fine. Yeah. Like I'm at like a pretty high point as far as my education goes, where I can at least say you're going to have to pay me 6 figures or more because of my skill set, first and foremost, but also because I have the pedigree of education behind my name too. So, that's you true. Know, and it's paid for at this point. So yeah, it was worth it. And honestly, I didn't mind paying for my MBA. I feel like undergrad is a cakewalk. What was a cakewalk for me? Like, I felt like I just was really good at school. It wasn't a cakewalk
for me.
And
it was not a cakewalk for me. I got out though.
You did. You got out. But for me, I feel like my MBA was like something that I studied abroad in Paris. Like, yeah. I mean, that's an opportunity to pay for. So for me, when I actually had to pay for it, I'm like, okay, cool. Like when I look back on it, it was worth me paying to go to Paris and paying to get like a solid math foundation, because I told you, like, I never had great math teachers or any of that stats or any of that until I did my MBA program, where I actually felt like, oh, wow, like I actually understand this because somebody's like taking the time to walk me through like this point by point. And I think Union was a good choice for me too, because the classes were extra small. We had like 5 or 6 people in each class and like access to our professors. I wouldn't have gotten that at University of Memphis in an MBA program. They probably got like 100 people in each class. They're huge MBA classrooms. So for grad anyway. So I just felt like Union was a good place for me, and to have paid for it was good too.
I gotcha. I definitely look back at it and like, you know what, it was definitely worth it. I mean, because at the end of the day,
I mean, is a wedding worth it? Is a wedding worth paying $35,000 for? Is a luxury bag worth paying? I told you yesterday when I went in Coach.
That's different though.
No, I feel like, but these are all money moves that we have to decipher in our lives. So yesterday,
when it comes to weddings though and things of that nature, I feel like that's almost like a aged thing.
But
like
people
where
see
you are in
weddings
life.
as like, I agree, but you'd be surprised. People see them as like heirloom type things. They're like, ooh, I need this lavish wedding to have it etched in my memory forever. So that like, I can look back on this day. Like everything is sentimental, like everything down to like the veil and something blue for your day, or just like something blue, something borrowed and something else. Like all the little things, like people really take all that stuff very seriously.
You think older people do?
I do. I think they.
I mean, I haven't seen it. I feel like it's more common now. Like people that I know that that have recently gotten married, like that are our age, they're fine with like, okay, a small reception. Okay, let's go to the courthouse. I don't need the wedding now at this point. I've always thought that weddings were for
in the past
25.
year, 3 of my line sisters are getting married. So that's Deidre, Sade, and Antoinette, and everyone's having a wedding. They're all having a wedding. That's true. Okay. It's still an investment. Yeah.
No, it is an investment.
And so my thing is like, no matter what, like you have to choose your investment for your money. And social media is a huge influence. That's why I want to get real with people and stop chalking up the soft life. Like it's like supposed to look like you going in Louis Vuitton every week when you can go to Dillard's and get you a bag.
That's true.
And be right on about your day. Yesterday when I was in Coach, it was a very humbling experience because I feel like we can afford these very nice things, but you and I both know that we don't need them to feel like we are accomplished, like our bank accounts and like our capabilities. I'm not even gonna say our bank accounts. Our capabilities, what we're capable of, like we can do what we need to do. But I think, when I was in Coach and they had like these cute little bags for like $100 or $29, I'm like, y'all, what's wrong with these? Like, they look nice to me.
Yeah.
Like, I bought Rain one.
Yeah. No, I'm like, you're right there.
They look nice to me. Why do we have to fixate on like luxury? And they're nice. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the same leather. Pretty sure. I'm like,
it's possible. It's possible.
It looked like quality to me. So, I mean, and it's funny because the sales lady, she goes, we were talking about these kids that go to prom and they be having all these designer outfits and all this kind of stuff. Oh. And I was like, man, if I had to go to prom now, like I honestly, I'm going to be out the league.
It's funny that you do mention that because I mean, what is it? Is it social media? Is it the rappers? Is it the music? It's like, what is it that's, forcing people? I do feel like some people are being forced. Like they feel like they're out. Well, you talked about this the other day now. Like in certain industries, let's use real estate for an example. Like we was talking about how you almost have to look the part.
Yeah. And I get
looking
that too,
the part
but
is
here's
like,
the thing about
it ain't Coach.
Right.
Just,
well, hold on. It depends on who wearing it.
Well, it does. Now, it does depends on who wearing it. That is true.
Yeah,
that's
because
true.
my thing is, okay, and if I'm going to sell real estate, we have to decide what level of real estate I'm trying to get into. Because if I'm going to sell a $1 million house and I'm going to get a $40,000 commission check from that off of the one house, and my goal is to sell one house a month that's $1 million, then you are very capable of going to the Louis Vuitton store and getting you a clutch once a month if you wanted to, in my opinion, because that's $3,000 will depend on which one you get. But $3,000 or $40,000 a month is like nothing. All your bills are still going to be paid. Like you can still set aside some cash. Like you doing okay.
Yeah.
And so, but my thing is at the same time, a nice Coach bag, I feel like I could show up and sell some luxury real estate in this. But the thing is having the plan. Like, what's the plan look like?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like it just depends on what your plan is.
I got you.
And sometimes you do have to look the part. I mean, looking the part is part of the package, but is the package funding well enough for you to afford to look the part? That's the question. And if you're going to a high school prom, I can assure you the package is not well enough. And unless the parents are doing something like where the package is well enough, you had no business at all. No business feeling like you need to live up to that kind of standard. And Coach should be fine for you. And it was funny because I was talking to the sales rep in Coach, and we were talking about that, and I was like, look, honey, my child, if I was back in high school, and at the time we was down at the African Street Festival, honey, getting the Coach from the African Street Festival
getting the assistant coach.
Yes, the assistant coach. Coach. And honestly, everyone had those, so it was fine.
African Street Festival.
Yes.
Third Street. It was Third Street in Memphis.
Exactly. It was Third Street in Memphis. In Jackson, it was over by Lane College, and you could go over there and get you a
Lacoste shirt,
a faux bag,
They get you a Lacoste shirt,
exactly.
Get you some Dub Zeros,
and call it a night. Call it a night.
You just took me back, girl.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It is funny, but it's very real though. Like why? So the question is, why does one feel like they have to do this? Mm-hmm. And so the answer is yes, it is social media. So my question is, which I've been asking everybody, is, do y'all like social media? Like,
you asking me?
Aaron. I feel like she's like off doing something.
I mean, me personally.
Sean, do you like social media?
There we go.
Okay.
That's me. So for those that didn't hear, Sean said he likes consuming social media. Mm-hmm. I have always seen myself as a consumer of social media. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy it for that purpose. I see why everyone else that has a business tied to social media is very frustrated by it and almost can use the word hates social media for that aspect. I would too. I like that. Like it is a weird spot. And sometimes as a consumer, I hate it as well because I'm not seeing stuff that I want to see. I'm seeing more ads. I'm seeing, I'm seeing stuff that I don't want to see. I'm seeing stuff that I don't want to see. Mm-hmm. So, as a consumer, it's a little gray. It's a little gray. Sometimes I love it because, I love a good laugh, or I do discover some great stuff. Food. Like I love when you discover a great food recipe as of late. Mm-hmm. Those have been lit. Mm-hmm. The apple thing was amazing.
Thank you. So, shout out to grandbaby cake.
Things was that was fire right there. That was delicious. So it just depends. I guess it just depends. It depends.
I do feel like there's a force field of social media that makes people feel like they need to have certain things, though. Yeah. I don't know if it. Well, I guess it is social media partly, but I think it's everything else too. Though I do think it is, but I think prime
music.
example.
I do think it's TV. I think it's just a little bit of everything. I don't think it's just social media.
When we talk about real estate, though, like you see these
real estate is definitely social media.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna give this example because I feel like this is probably the clearest example I can give in reference to like people being influenced by it. Like, I'll see somebody in Texas post like a 6-bedroom house for like, I don't know, $700,000.
I see where you're going with this.
And then it's like you see all these people sharing this like house goals. And I'm like, but if you live in Nashville for a 6-bedroom house,
it ain't gonna be $700,000.
It's gonna be, quite frankly, that
2 point something, 3 point probably.
And so for you to set yourself up according to the internet, it's like those are goals. That is not like geographically, it's not economically, it's not
realistic.
It doesn't make any sense here.
It's not realistic.
So my thing is, you have to bring it back to real life, like where you are, and like try not to just put yourself in. That's a great example. That's a great example because like I do see that. Oh, this is gold. This is a house that like this is my dream house, y'all. Well, honestly speaking, you can do it. You have to move to kiss or whatever parts of Texas. Like you're not gonna find that price. Nowhere in a radius of Nashville. Nowhere in an hour radius of Nashville. You ain't going to Gallatin for that. It's just so. That's true. It's just kind of one of those things. But when you see that on social media and you see, let's say you see somebody in Texas with that kind of house, and you assume that they're like, that's like your goals or whatever, but you might be in New York City and you might be getting a 1-bedroom condo for that price.
That's true.
So it's just, it's different from place to place, and it doesn't look the same. It's not packaged the same. And so when we consume things on the internet, we have to be careful with how we internalize them because none of it is packaged the same from several different aspects. But I just use the real estate one because that's just a concrete example that I feel like people can relate to. Yeah.
I got you.
You can visualize it.
I got you.
So if I had to give you like a chart, like you can visualize it.
I see that.
Okay.
One more fun thing real quick before we get up out of here.
Yeah.
What movie kept you up at night?
I don't have any movies that have ever kept me up at night because I watched scary movies until I met you and you decided that we weren't watching scary movies anymore.
I didn't do scary movies. I do scary movies in October, and I know this is coming out. This is like past Halloween and everything, but October I'll do scary movies.
Okay.
But I just can't do it the rest of the year. But there was one movie that kept me up at night though.
What?
Take a wild guess.
I don't know. I feel like
Passion of Christ.
Oh gosh, you said that before and I forgot. I mean, I still hadn't seen that movie.
Seen it one time, ain't seen it since.
Well, I don't know. It's not something
Scarred
I'm
me.
interested in watching.
My mom took me there. I was in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't sleep for a week.
Mm.
Terrified me. It was so scary.
It's not supposed to be scary, is it?
I mean, it's not. It's gory. It's brutal.
Okay.
It's very gory and it's heavy. It's one of those to where, because I feel like even when like my mom will even say to this day, she's like, oh, I had no business taking y'all to see that movie. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone expected it to be what it was. How old were you
when you went to see this movie?
I was like when it first came out. Like this had to be 2003, 4.
So like 12.
So yeah, 7th, 8th grade, something like that.
I've still never seen it, but no movies keep me up at night. I feel like
had me.
The only thing that has kept me up at night is your daughter.
Oh yeah.
So
speaking of,
that's it. So,
speaking of,
I have just one last question.
What's up?
She's turning 2, November 21st.
Yeah, she is.
So how does that feel?
Man. I mean, I have so many different emotions. I mean, excitement, happiness, a little sad, because time is just going so fast. So fast. It's going so fast. And, like, I feel like as of late, and like you've noticed this too, like I've been holding her, like picking her up a lot more. Even like from school, like I would try to just pick her up and carry her to the car. And she don't want that. She want to get down and walk. And he be getting me. It gets me. But oh no, my girl wants to walk. She won't be held no more. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited just to watch her grow up. It's going to be fun.
I think she has my love language because she likes to be cuddled and held, but she's very independent.
Very independent. Ain't that crazy how that works?
Yeah. So she definitely got that from me because she's like, when you try to kiss her, she goes,
thank you, but put me down. Let me do my thing.
Yeah. So it's just, it's adorable. But we have had such a fun month. Like October, I feel like, again, God gave me this gift of stillness and just joy because I've had the best time putting together these Halloween costumes. And
it's been fun.
I feel like now I understand why people do the Christmas pajamas and like, I don't care how much money. I mean, we spent, I don't know how much on Halloween this year.
Yeah. Halloween is, we single-handedly stimulate the economy.
Now I'm like, I would much rather spend my money on
activities
and costumes and like just all of this hoopla because to me that is it's just a fun aspect of being parents that I didn't think about. So it's just been, and this is her first Halloween that she can recollect. So, or that she can participate, not recollect.
She can participate. Like
she won't remember, but I think it'll be so much fun for her to see like her first trunk or treat and like her first boo at the zoo, and just to watch her throughout the years. And then when her and JJ are like teenagers, we'll show them
going to
prom in Balenciaga.
What's the thing we used to do? Corn mazes.
Oh gosh.
Haunted houses and all that. So,
yeah.
Congratulations. I want to say that before we get out of here. It's congratulations for this show. It's amazing. Every guest that have been on have been great. Very inspiring. I can't wait for season 3.
What's been your favorite episode?
Oh gosh, don't do that to me. I mean, Bishop Walker's is high. Rand as well. I mean, he told some great stories. Just off the top of my head, those are probably my top 2 favorite ones for sure. Bishop Walker is pretty high though. It's pretty high.
Well, in all 20 episodes, I do not have a favorite episode, but
you can't say that. Of course not. Yeah, you're right. You don't have one. You can't pick one. It's biased.
But I always leave feeling full. Yeah. From every episode, I've always felt just like inspired after each one, and I don't know. I never know what to expect when I sit down with somebody at the top of the hour to the end of the hour. And it's just really cool to have these conversations. And I'm excited to continue to see where the Sweet House goes too, because 6 months ago, it didn't exist. And I'm a firm believer that if you build it, things will happen. Like everything else will flourish too.
I don't know what the proverb, I know there's like a proverb or a saying like, you know, if you build a house or you build, I think it was like a baseball thing actually.
If you build it, they'll come. If
you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
It was from a movie. I forget, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So you keep building and they come.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching another season of The Sweet House. And if you've never watched before and this is your first episode, please go back and watch the episodes that resonate with you. You can also listen to the episodes on any of the podcast platforms. But it's just been a fun adventure chatting with all these people that are sharing the ins and outs of life. And you guys, you never know who's coming. Season 3 is already brewing since it's October. And we are headed into November. I'm already cooking up some stuff. There might be some episodes coming out over the winter break that are going to be really cool. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and comment to the Sweet House. Comment on the Sweet House, because this show is where all the things are happening and life is good.
There we go. You did it.
Yay!
We out of here.